I'm back, ninjas. I was gone for a bit, but I have my caffeine intake. Now, I made a remix, but obviously this remix means more when I can show you guys cool tricks from it that you can use in your own music or in your own remixes to kill it. Because if the homies can't have none, then it's not happiness, right? So let's get started, guys. So the first thing is you're going to have to pick a song that you want to remix. I say you pick something that means something to you or something that excites you. For this remix that I did, which I'm releasing on SoundCloud, hopefully by the time this video's out, was on this TikTok song known as Tek It by Cafuné. And pretty much I decided to do a stutter edit of it because the song means a lot to me. I took my family to Death Valley. It was 120. We almost fucking died. I was praying to God the car doesn't break down. So I thought, this song was on repeat. We might as well remix it to thank, everyone for letting me live a little longer. What it is. Fucking gay, man. In a good way. First off, how did I get the vocal? Well, in order to get the vocal out, there's one service I use because when I find something that works, I'm a loyal man. I don't change it. I don't try to fix it or we lose half our shit. You guys already know that. So the service that I use is known as Lala AI. Okay, this is the one I use. They've never done me dirty. I find their vocal extraction is pretty good. It is a paid-for service. However, I'm not sponsored by them. We're not in bed together. Nothing going on here. Nothing shady. I just really like their service, and I recommend it to people. But of course, there's a lot of other ones out there that many people have, like RIP and AI extraction stuff. So the next thing is I'll bring the vocal in and try to figure out how to land it on the beat. So usually what I'll do is I'll go on Spotify, I will hear the song where it lands on the one and try to mimic it on my end. From there, once it's landed, I can pretty much start to grab parts of it and know like, okay, I can grab like a 4-bar loop like this. I know it will be in sync as long as I respect the way that, again, the way that I've copied it. Is essentially, I don't put it on a weird note, like a weird 16th anywhere here. The next thing is I will figure out the progression of it, okay? Because if the vocal, hear me again, you damn tech house fucking DJs, man. If the vocal is written to a chord progression or a bass progression, you have to write to that progression or else the vocal is going to sound scream for help. It's gonna want the touch of a true producer to, like it's gonna sound off. I hear that time and time again. So make sure that you're following the progression or find the progression and see how you can tech house the fuck out of it. But in this situation, grab the vocal like so. Right, I grab the chorus part of it. And then I'll have like a kick and bass going. Let's say here the rolling bass. Like so. And once I have the progression, I can start to build the chords out for it. So I decided to use this this bass roll. And that should sound good. Right? From there, you can start to build the chords out a lot easier and vice versa, okay? Now from there, for this track in particular, I want to show you guys something else. So the vocals, in general, they're going to be very wide. But for this track in particular, and sometimes when you extract vocals, there might be what we call artifacts, aka shit we don't want, stuff we don't need. Stuff in it, and sometimes it's hard to mix out and use mid-side EQ. So a lot of the times what you can do is you can use your utility from Ableton. Okay, come in like an exterminator. You can right click and do mid-side mode and remove all of the side information. So you only have the mid. And this is crucial as a sampling technique because if you can remove the sides, which sometimes might have unwanted atmosphere, unwanted stuff, then you get a cleaner vocal response. Now, of course, if you want the vocal wide, leave it wide. But I'll tell you guys why I decided not to go with this, with the vocal wide. Mainly because I wanted to have the stutter house thing, and I had these chord sounds. right? So if the vocal's wide, it's gonna fight with that synth because the synth is wide. So vocal down the center. And finally, the last thing is using an RVox. I think if you just want something that sounds good in terms of compression for vocals, RVox is good. A lot of the times, if you're going to be remixing like, you know, like soft music, kind of soft, you know, the kind of music, a lot of times there's a lot of dynamics to the vocal. But I mean, most of you guys that follow me make dance music, tech house, techno. Dynamic, what? Who the fuck is, you know what I mean? Like, you don't need dynamics. So a lot of times you can compress the vocals with RVox. Again, the things you want to look out for are just if it sounds too choked to death, you don't want to, you know, like strangle it. But also if unwanted stuff comes up in an unneeded way, then you know you went too far with it. Now, the stutter on this vocal was done with tremulator, and I want to kind of talk about it, mainly because my suffering should not be your suffering. I went through this because you don't have to go through it, right? So I was trying to stutter the vocal in the cleanest, best way possible. So the first thing I said, you know what? I'm going to stay native. I'm going to use Ableton. So I decided to use the auto pan. And I also decided to use the beat feature that Ableton has. So if you go to the vocal, you set it to beats mode here. 16th, you set this to off, which is the repeat. And then you pull this number down. You're going to get, ChatGPT made an appearance, the stutter. The problem is that stutter doesn't sound the best. And as you guys already know, I want the best for you. My suffering shouldn't be your suffering. So best way to do it is to use a tremulator. A tremulator's purpose is to automate the volume of whatever signal you put inside of it, okay? And the tremulator from Soundtoys is great. This is how you're going to set it up if you want to do some stutter housing. First off, in default mode, you're going to set your shape to ramp down. It's going to give you this shape here. Okay, so that means from really high up to really down. From there, you're going to set your rhythm to either 16th or 1/8 if you want. Bop, bop, bop versus ta 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 ta. Second, you're going to have here your groove, which you can add swing or shuffle if you choose to. And you're also going to have your sync or accents here. So again, you can play with that, and that plays with the bottom part here, as you can see. Okay, so for me, down the center, just wanted basic. Next thing is here, the rate. I'm going to select MIDI so it syncs up with Ableton. And there we go. The vocal and the synth are playing in harmony together like, you know, like neurons and atoms and shit. So the next thing is you don't have to stutter all the way to 110. You can stutter below and you can automate the stutter so that it sounds the best. The reason I decided to do that was because one of you guys roasted me saying your vocal sounds fucked, like it got ran through a blender and stuff. I know you guys mean well. You wouldn't say nasty things to me, and if you do, it's probably because you want what's best for me, and you already know my man. So I decided to automate it. And you can see the automation there. Okay. So the best way to stutter is with tremulator from Soundtoys. And again, showed you guys the utility trick that you can use even if you sample vocals from sample packs. Sometimes they'll put reverb. Sometimes they'll put, what the hell are they on kind of vibe, but the vocal's good. So for the intro of the track, I decided to do a DJ intro just in case people want to play this out for a kid's birthday party or something. Foreshadowing what's to come. A play of words. Now, the reason I have these on two separate channels is because this vocal up top holds the U out and it's all down the center. So now we have this guy, Can't Stop, on the sides. Can't stop thinking of. And I added the off because it sounded weird as we would go into this. So added that off there, you know, so that way it goes into it smooth. The other thing too is when you extract using these tools, a lot of times you might get horrible breaths. So usually, you know, there's plugins out there for that. However, what I like to do is I like to cut. I'll double click and I'll just manually reduce down. And then after a while, you can just loop it if needed. So that helps a lot. Don't be too lazy on on fixing stuff like that. Sometimes you can do it manually. It sounds a lot better than using a plugin, okay? So keep that in mind. But here we just have this interaction of words. Now, if you're doing like a DJ intro, I definitely suggest you foreshadow the vocal in the intro. I feel like if a DJ were to play it out, people just hearing that, they're going to kind of, their dopamine's going to go if they know the song or they recognize the syllable or the tone of the voice. They're just going to want to like go, oh shit, I know this song. What? No, he's not playing that. So cool way to kind of go about it, I would say, foreshadowing what's to come. So we just have this crazy swell up. The vocal, by the way, was widened with Sidewinder, a really cool widening plugin that I heavily recommend to you guys. I'll leave a link down in the description, affiliate link if you want to support the channel, best way to grab it. Consider me the middleman. I get a penny if you buy it, but that's how we widen it. Echo automating as well in order to create this really nice swell at the end. High feedback. And then dry and wet goes up. Dry and wet controls the volume of the echo as we get away from here. Now this build-up, I really want to talk about it because, you know, a lot of you guys send me your music through feedback streams and stuff, and I noticed that a lot of the times the breaks can sound a little too like static and kind of boring. So what I mean by that is, for instance, right, having synths that increase in the cutoff range and the release of it is something cool that you can do. I have this plug, right? And I want to climax this plug. Well, what I can do, I can grab this, route it to a detunement. So that detunes as we go up. That's change. But also, I can also route it to the decay, to the release of the envelope, opening the cutoff. And as I do that, we start to feel like we're going somewhere with the sound. But now, let's route it also to the decay of the amplitude. So that way, as we move to the right, we get the notes interacting together. Now let's add a reverb and delay. Just route the mix there. And control the max amplitude by pulling on the cutoff range here. So by the time we go, you get that. Let's put the drums in so you can see how it sounds like with drums. You can create that feeling of crescendo. And then it elongates out. And then you get the drum fill. And you can also add an EQ to it if you wanted to, with a bit of a high quality. This will make it so that it feels like you're like almost like a balloon, you know, as you're like, the air's coming out, you pull it. And that creates a feeling of tension. So check it. Okay. Now on the first drop, right, the chords are staying on 1 octave range. So what that means is that they're just playing, let's say like if I were to go in Serum 2, they're just playing this. Right, but by the time we get to the second drop, which you'll hear in a bit, we add this layer to the sound to make it feel bigger, more grandeur, because we add the higher frequencies. Now, the reason that I did this was because when usually I work on music, I'm using analog synths, right? And the thing I like about them is that they each have their own workflow. So the Dave Smith Pro Ref 2 has essentially 2 layers. It's going to have a part A and a part B. So in part A, I can design the first synth, which is what you hear here right now on the first drop. But for the second drop, a lot of people always say, how can I add variation to the synth? So in this synth, I can edit layer B and I can stack A and B together in order to create variation for that last drop, making it feel more climax, more of a climatic feel. So I started to think about the plans I made the day unfade. By the time we get to the second drop, the synth gets that layer, which gives it that progression. It's the same sound layered with a sound that's up an octave from it. So how can you use this for your music? Well, in the first drop, maybe your lead is going to be a monophonic lead that sounds simple. And in the second drop, you will layer a more bigger polyphonic sound, detuned heavy, super saw with it. And that will create variation, making that second drop feel bigger than the first. It's something you can do easily to make your music sound like it's moving forward. We get this beautiful 80s synth to essentially use that motif as a transitional element. You know, using the Juno, a lot of the time with synthesizers, you know, if you use Serum, too cool. But cool thing about having different synths is each one's good at certain things depending on the workflow that it has. So the Juno one, when we look at it in nature, it's a very simple synth, but it has that 80s sound. And I found this preset I love you. Right, so that's what I would call like a transitional motif. Now here's the mid break, which is just gonna set up the chorus, the climax, the second drop. Alright, vocals back and forth again. And now we get the stutter. Very simple. Then rides come in after 8 bars. Progress the drums. Make it feel bigger. And now we get into a bridge that I really want to talk to you guys about. Now you're not going to use a bridge in every song, depending on what you're doing. But a bridge is something that happens in the song that's different from everywhere else. It's supposed to be a way of telling the story in a different setting, right? So I'll give you the example here. Right, if we've been hearing a rolling bass constantly, maybe we switch to a Reese for this section. Maybe we don't have a bass. I mean, I could have done this and it's so magical, but it feels rather empty, so a Reese really helps with the 7th on it. Really just helps kind of switch the feel up a bit. And then there's also this ARP, which sounds granular in nature, because it is. It's pretty much going to be the crystallizer from Sound Toys as well, the OSCT crystal shards. And the way I decided to kind of implement it was to use an audio effect rack. In Ableton, you can use this to create chains. So pretty much there's a chain here with nothing on it so that the dry signal comes through. But then in this chain, we're going to have the crystallizer at 100%, and we're using it as a different layer to that ARP. And that helps create that nice melodic house granular vibe to it. For breaks too, you know, a lot of the times if the song allows for it, you can switch the feeling of the drums. Instead of having a clap, you can have a snap or a woodblock hit. This is something I learned from hearing Mike Posner's track, that if I could write you a song to make you understand that I already have you right under my arm. So I thought that was really cool that they do that in the breaks of that song. So I said, you know, if I ever have the chance to do it, I will. Just add a snap for the breaks. Get that last build. I can't stop thinking of you. Final drop. Rewriting the vocals again. Let them do the work. And then we execute a climax here. Now you don't have to have a climax for every song, but if the song asks for it, do it. So here I just decided to grab this part of the vocal, which has one of the singers from the band doing these ad-libs. I stuttered it as well. But then I just come in with a synth 80 style and just climax the last portion of the song, which some DJs are gonna hate. They're like, oh, I don't wanna play that. But hey. Just wanted it to feel like grandeur here, like big. And then we get the outro. Now, I think I like you a lot because I want to extend our time together. So I'll show you guys the master for this track and talk a little bit about the concept. So the point of a master is just going to be to finalize and polish the song. You shouldn't have a big change in the master. It should be something of just like getting the track loud and ready for people to listen to. And also to establish your dominance so you can be louder than the other guy. And when people hear your song and it's louder, they instantly going to think, oh, it sounds better, right? So the first thing I have on the mastering chain will be Mystic. This is going to be pretty much for using the preamp section here. If I slam it in, you can see it saturates and distorts eventually. So it's just something to add a bit of extra flavor, a bit more, I can't really say what it adds, but it adds a little change that I find pleasing to it. From there, I have Bass Room, which honestly, I used to recommend a lot, and I still do, but the way I'll put it, Bass Room can get you definitely kind of there. It just really depends what you feed it. Here on this one, I'm using the Dance Pop Guru profile, which will give me these targets to hit. So for instance, I can move this, I can solo that, hear what I'm changing. If I want to reduce the low end, I can, it's telling me to. And it has different bands just for the low end region. And then I can increase the quality or decrease it to get even more specific, surgical with it, or less. And then the mid-lows are here. You can also feed it like a song. This one is the Save Me one. I don't know what that song is, but it's in there and I can use it to create targets. And this one is telling me that I need a bit more low end if I'm using that as a reference point. If I think the low end on that sounds good and it's similar to mine, then I can listen to it and increase the low end. No right or wrong with it. As long as your kick and bass are working well together, I think this thing will just give you options, and it's up to you to decide whether you like it or not. If you end up using it, just make sure you gain stage back down or up using this here. From there, the compressor I like to use is the Shadow Hills one. And with compression, all we're really trying to do is glue everything together. Essentially, the whole song is going into the compressor, where the compressor is going to attenuate, reduce the volume depending on the settings that you put on it. This is just going to help usually to get the kick to either glue in more or control any peaks that might be coming in. So the thing I like about the Shadow Hills is it has two compressors, okay? It's gonna have the optical, which comes in first, and we're gonna see the gain reduction of that one here. And then we're gonna see the second one, the discrete one here. And the discrete one's gonna have an attack and a recover or release. Usually the attack, I'll set it to 30, but play around with it to kind of put it in where you want. If you put a lower attack, you will find that you're gonna gain reduce a lot more, a lot easier. And higher attack, it's gonna not do as much, mainly because it's allowing a lot of the transients through and not squashing by 30 milliseconds. So again, just play with that. Usually a 2-to-1 ratio is the best, I feel like. And then just trying to gain reduce a bit. So I'm gonna actually reduce this a bit more. Now the second to last plugin is gonna be a clipper. And the point of the clipper is gonna be to shave off the peaks. And as you look at the signal here, you can see there's gonna be these spikes like mohawks popping out. Now obviously spiky hair is out of style nowadays, so we really need to like shave those off like a barber. But as we shave off that material, we're trying to do it in a way where we don't really hear such a big change. From there, I can start to use my limiter to push the song more. And as you can see there, minus 2.4 dB max attenuation right now. But now watch what happens if I turn the limiter off, or sorry, the clipper off. Now I'm going all the way to 6.7, 5.8, 4.6, 5.5. Turn the clipper on. 2.4. So the limiter doesn't have to work as hard. And the thing with clippers is if you're not really pushing them that hard, they can be very transparent, which means you'll use it and maybe you'll hear a slight change, but it won't be a lot. So if you can save a lot of headroom and do that, then by all means do it. Now the gold clip also has a feature called gold, which is going to apply compression and some form of saturation and EQ. I really don't know. The manual states it's a form of compression, but it allows you to get louder. So we can use this feature to increase our perceived loudness. And now we're at 7.5, 7.6, and I'm pretty happy. So I really enjoyed making this remix, and I'm glad that I can add more meaning to it by showing you guys some cool techniques from it as well. And I hope they help you, because again, if the homies can't have none, then who can? But again, my goal is just to help as many people make the music they want. If I can make a banger, cool. But if I can help a bunch of people make bangers, then that's even cooler. Because if the homies can't have none, then what does it matter, right? Anyways, guys, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, hit the like, comment, and I'll catch you guys next time for another one. You guys take care, and if you want to check out the song, it should be out on SoundCloud by the time this video is out. Make sure to check it out. Other than that, you guys take care, and you guys have a great rest of your day.